Feminine energy is oneness, it's power, it's wisdom, it's warrior. The definition that patriarchy has given to the word feminine is objectification of woman. Period fucking end. It's not about whether your nails are painted. It's not about whether your hair is done and how much makeup you fucking wear. It's not about how much you push your tits up so that you can get a chub when you look at them or how big your fucking ass is. That has nothing to do with feminine energy. Those are socially created constructs that people choose to live by or not live by for whatever reasons. That is not what divine feminine energy is. It's not effeminate to push a human out and shit on yourself while you do it. What are you talking about? It is complete motherfucking warrior energy. And that is what feminine energy actually is. That's why they are the true leaders. They have the wisdom of the entire cosmos, and they are a portal to that wisdom because they have wombs. Understand what it means to be feminine. It means to be woman. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful beings, magnificent, divine, mystical souls that you are. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, your host for this episode. So let's talk a little bit more in an elevated way, and we're going to dissect this in a little bit more detail here. I'm going to give you a little bit more of an elevated teaching when it comes to what oneness actually is. Oneness is the matriarch. It is sacred feminine. But doesn't this mean I'm excluding masculine energy? Let's talk about it. Let's educate ourselves on what these things really mean. Okay. This was a recent beautiful question that we got in our Discord community. So if you want to jump into a beautiful community of oneness where everybody's working through everything and their evolution and getting clarity on stuff like this, please join our Discord community. This was a beautiful question, and I'm going to address it. I decided to not just respond. There's no way I could respond to that in Discord and give. It would take me 10 hours to write everything. It's a lot easier for me to address it right here. So I'm going to break it down and give hopefully enough detail, as much detail as I possibly can, and break this down as much as I possibly can, which is a lot more than I could do just in our Discord community, but also the courses and the classes. If you really want to break this down and learn to the nth degree, enroll as a student at our university, because we'll break all this stuff down tenfold there. Okay. So this is exciting. And I invite you to really stay with me till the end. And this is probably an episode where you're going to want to go back and listen to it a few weeks from now, and then a few weeks later. Listen to this one again, probably 2 or 3 different times. You'll take in a little bit more and a little bit more if you listen to this particular episode a few different times. Okay. So oneness. Why is that the matriarch? Why is that sacred feminine energy? Oh, where do we begin? Where do we begin? I truly need an entire semester course to break all this stuff down, but I'm going to attempt to give you as much as I can in one podcast episode. Okay. So we have to understand what feminine energy even is. And we have to then understand, in the way of truth, what masculine energy is. And we also have to understand that when we've all been raised in the patriarchal world that we've been raised in, you have to actually understand what the patriarch is. Not what you want it to be, not what you would like to think it is. None of that means anything, guys. Your opinions, your beliefs, what you want, none of that means shit. Elevated beings don't come from those low levels of consciousness of what I want or what I wish it would be. It is what it is. So you have to start with understanding that Earth is a feminine planet and it functions in oneness, period, end. That's what feminine is. Masculine is in and of itself is not oneness. You're going to understand this more by the end, so stay to the end. It isn't oneness. It can't be. Again, you'll understand. So just bear with me here. I'm going to take this one little baby step at a time. The feminine is oneness. That is what feminine energy is. So a matriarchal society automatically functions in balance because it is oneness, oneness with all. Now, when we have been raised in the upside down world of patriarchy, you have to understand what patriarchy is. It is the out of control, out of balance, toxic masculine. That's what patriarchy is. It represents exclusion, separation, domination, inequality, force, violence, inferior, superior, polarization, duality. All of this represents what the patriarchy actually is. There's always forcing of opposing, like forcing opposition. There's always opposing forces because there's no balance, because masculine energy isn't balanced, because it's not oneness. Now, you will, again, hang in there. You'll understand why when you have a feminine planet that's supposed to function in oneness, and then you have centuries of masculine energy taking over, dominating the whole goddamn planet. Look around, people. First of all, to be very simple and practical, look at the fucking world. Just look around. How many wars, how much murder, how many genocides, how much rape? I mean, men are literally raping turkeys. Butterball turkeys. You know that brand? They rape and murder turkeys, lizards, pregnant sheep, and goats. I mean, come on. I've mentioned this stuff before. I could go on. That is masculine being in charge. That's what we evolve into. Devolve into is more accurate. You have to understand what the energy is and why it's gotten so out of control, why it's so goddamn violent, why religion exists, because of patriarchy. Religions are patriarchal, brainwashing, mind control methods to enslave people. And the quote unquote God of the Bible is Satan. We live in the upside down world. This is all what patriarchy is. Now, why is it that masculine energy in and of itself, now I'm talking about divine masculine energy in and of itself literally is divine separation. We're going to get there because you don't know what that means. And this is how we've gotten so out of control with all this violence and rape and force and domination and wars and murder and all this shit, is because masculine energy, when left by itself to function, is not oneness. It is separation. So everything it does is to create more exclusion and separation. That is all anybody knows because they have been raised by the patriarchy. So you automatically, your mind controlled, brainwash mind can only then think of, well, if it's a matriarch, doesn't that exclude masculine? No, masculine's the only one that excludes. Masculine represents separation. So no, the feminine doesn't exclude. There's no such thing. Feminine is oneness, oneness is feminine. Matriarch is oneness, oneness is matriarch. So we're going to now go back and start a little bit more from the beginning. The source creator of all that is, the creator. Obviously, there's no gender there. And yet, if you are to refer to the source creator of all that is as a gender, the only appropriate gender to refer to the source creator is goddess. See, patriarchy changed goddess removed the end of the word and shortened it to God. Made it male, made it masculine, made this male-centric patriarchal world where men were the center of everything. You cannot have an energetic frequency of separation in control running everything. That's not leadership energy. Oneness is leadership energy. That's not the energy of equality. Separation isn't. Oneness energy is. So let me say this very quickly and very simply. You really want to understand all this? You have to evolve in your spiritual metaphysical education in quantum energetics. And then it'll easily make sense. When you're lower levels of consciousness, your mind can't comprehend. You're going to come from your prejudices and your triggers, how offended you're going to get. You cannot comprehend your brainwashed mind where everything we've learned from patriarchy is inequality, domination, superior, inferior, men rule everything, we're male-centric, and it means to exclude and to separate and create duality. That's what masculine energy is. Now, divine masculine is not a bad thing, but I told you we're not going to get there yet because you won't understand it yet. It becomes all these toxic, horrific things when left on its own devices because of what masculine energy is. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of analogies, and then I'm going to give you the teachings of, we're going to go back to the creator, goddess. Because goddess incarnated, what represents the creator herself in human form, is woman. None of this religious brainwashing, upside down, fucking lies, bullshit, that a woman comes from a man's rib. That doesn't even make any fucking sense. A man's rib is made from a fucking woman's womb. Hello? You don't have to be half fucking retarded to comprehend that. Seriously, come on. You only are alive on this planet because you were birthed from a woman's womb. Who represents goddess now? Who represents source in living form now? The replica of goddess source creator herself is woman. She's the one who births life, gives you life. That is woman. Now, what you immediately do with that, not everyone, those who are still lower levels of consciousness, those who still have inequality programs, you'll project that onto me and say I'm functioning in inequality when that's what you do. When you're brainwashed by patriarchy to function in inequality, superior, inferior, and you are so used to men being superior and you're so used to women being inferior, you can't comprehend at the level of mind how women are literally source creator incarnated in human form. Women are. You cannot then not be triggered and think that means men are inferior because you're fucking brainwashed in your own level of misogyny. Oh, your own level of misogyny. It's in there. It's still in there. And if it wasn't, you wouldn't misinterpret my teaching. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be able to not comprehend my teaching. When you come from oneness, this is easy to understand. When you still do not come from oneness and you come from patriarchal separation, exclusion, inferior, superior, inequality, etc., then this is hard to understand. That's not an insult. I'm teaching you the level that you still function at to let you know how high you need to evolve in order to comprehend teachings of oneness. Teachings of oneness are not separation consciousness. Okay? So if it's triggering or difficult, take a breath and drop into your heart. Open to be able to hear what the actual teaching is. You'll heal faster and elevate faster if you're willing, if you are the way of surrender. Okay? So let's mention again. Woman who brings and creates life and births and gives you life. That's woman. That is goddess incarnated, source, the creator incarnated in human form. That's woman. Okay. When she creates and gives you life and then births you into existence and brings you into existence, when you are birthed, when you are born, there is a process. That she's nothing but oneness. She, feminine, she, woman, she. In oneness, you were created inside of her. You were literally one with her body. You came from her body. You and her body, you were her body. You were one. There was no separation. And slowly, as you are developed, as you are formed, as you are nurtured, as she continues to grow you, to give you life, you are still connected by that umbilical cord. You are in her womb. That is the portal to the creator herself. Do you understand? This is what woman is. As you are born, when she births you into this reality, this human experience, that is the from oneness into moving into divine separation. Separation, just separation isn't a negative, toxic term. It becomes it. Divine separation is you are now, baby, being birthed, being born into a quote unquote separate existence from the oneness from which you hence come from. Me. I am your creator. I birthed you. I am oneness. We were oneness. And now in a physical reality, I am birthing you into divine separation from me. Two different human forms. That's divine separation. Energetically, we are still in oneness. I, the woman, I, the creator, I, the feminine, I, oneness, created you, birthed you, and gave you life in a form of divine separation. That is the birth of masculine energy. The process of separating from the oneness that exists as the truth of what you are, from the feminine that exists, which is the truth of what you are, the process of separation into physical form, that is the birth of divine masculine. Divine masculine means divine separation. It is a false sense of separation. Divine separation is a temporary experience of us being separate beings, of us experiencing each other as separate. Let's go back even further. The original consciousness, the light of everything, the all, the creator, the source. The goddess. And what patriarchy wants to call God, but that's fucking God that is in the Bible is actually Satan. So I don't fucking use that term and I won't call that anymore. I only ever say that term so people know what the hell I'm talking about because they're so misogynistic. They can't comprehend when you say goddess. Who do you mean? Kuan Yin? What goddess? Oh my God. They can't even in their sexism ever, when you say the word goddess, think that you're talking about quote unquote God. That's how sexist we all are. That's how deep it runs. Ugh, we have a long way to go. So the made up God of the Bible is actually Satan, and that's what everybody worships in their religions. Side note. The original creator of all that is just a consciousness. It's just the light of all, if that's how you want to refer to it. When that creator, the original source, became aware of itself, Self-awareness was the creation, was the first creation. Self-awareness, awareness of self. That creation that was birthed, the first birthing, the first manifestation from oneness into something different other than just me, the I am presence. You can call Goddess the source creator of all that is. I am presence. The I am, I realized what I am when I first gave birth to self-awareness. The creator is the first arm of the Trinity. Fuck this Trinity bullshit that you learn from religions. It's all lies and made up bullshit. You want to know what the real Trinity is? Listen up. The Trinity is the creator, the original source. She, Goddess. Second arm of the Trinity is the observer. Because the very first manifestation ever to exist, to come into existence, created by me, the Goddess, the source, the creator of all. I first created the observer. What does that mean? The observer is the consciousness that mirrors back to me that I am me. Breathe and hang in there if this is hard to comprehend. The creator, the observer. Looking back at me, I am a mirror observing what I am. So the first two arms of the Trinity, the creator, the observer. And then number 3, what gets created from that is to then experience what I am. So it's the experiencer. So the real Trinity is the creator, the observer, the experiencer of the things that I observe, that I create. Do you understand? Okay. The creator, the observer, the experiencer. That's the Trinity. So when I, source, decide to then experience myself in all the ways that I can just experience myself, right? The Trinity, those 3 things, are a part of every manifestation, no matter what that manifestation is. No matter what that created thing that the creator created is, the Trinity exists. That means the creator, the observer, the experiencer. Okay? So what does that mean? That if I, the creator, want to experience myself in the Goddess in a human form, well, I want to experience Goddess in human form, source in human form. I'm going to create a human. What do I create? Woman. Period. End. That's me, the creator, the original source of all that is, incarnated as a human. What represents me that goes on to create other things is that woman birthing more life into new creations, new life, new forms. Okay. As a woman, when you are created, as a human, when you are created, you are, pay attention, you move through what is called divine separation. Divine separation is simply a creation from source in order to experience itself in an incarnation of a human, for example. There is a divine separation. Understand what divine separation, birthed into physical form, means. It means I'm going to experience a physical incarnation of myself, Goddess, the source of all, as this human, as this raccoon, as this whale. A divine separation has to happen. That means what divine separation is, I have to temporarily believe that I am human and not goddess, creator. I already have everything, know everything. I am everything. In order to experience a human lifetime, I have to be born and incarnate as only knowing myself as a human for a while in order to have the human experience. I have to be born as a dog in order to have the canine experience for a lifetime, for 9 or 12 or 17 years. That's divine separation. Divine separation is the manifestation into physical form. It means it's not the manifestation into physical form. It's the experience of being in a physical form other than the original source that you are, the original goddess that you are, the original creator of all things, everything that you are. You're a fractal of goddess incarnated. So to move through a physical incarnation is to have an energetic frequency of divine separation while still being connected to the source of all, which is a higher level of what you are. Okay? Now, when you are incarnating into different beings, and in humans, a female versus a male, for example, masculine energy represents the energy of divine separation. Everything is feminine. That's oneness. And then you sprinkle in some other little things. Okay, here's my simple analogy that I'm going to give to you. And let me say this first. If you understand that what masculine, divine masculine energy is, how much separation should be incorporated into your existence to have a healthy, balanced existence. Ooh, let that sink in. An extreme amount of separation, way off balance, way too much separation, you have what we have. Fucking patriarchy and all the shit that comes with it. You get toxic level of masculine. Masculine energy is not an energy that you have 50-50 of. Get the fuck out of that bullshit. You're ignorant fool when you think that's balance. No, it fucking isn't. That's not what balance is. Think about the level of ignorance, and I'm going to give you the simple analogies. Let's say, and this is where patriarchy, which is nothing but toxic, masculine, nonsensical, ignorant bullshit, teaches you, well, doesn't it mean that the feminine in one is oneness? Doesn't that exclude the masculine? No, only masculine knows how to exclude. Only patriarchy excludes. Matriarch does not exist in the matriarch, does not exist in oneness. There is no such thing as exclusion and oneness. And that is what feminine is, oneness. There's no such thing as exclusion. There is appropriate levels of all things, which equals balance, the way of equality. That vibrational frequency, which is number 9 out of 20 of the 20 universal ways of oneness. The higher levels, because there's 12 levels to each and every way. The higher levels of the way of equality means equilibrium, balance. I'm in a balanced state. Well, what does that mean? It doesn't mean 50-50 of everything, equal parts. That's fucking stupid. That is ignorance. Get out of that patriarchal ignorance. It's nothing but ignorance. So it's time to educate ourselves. So here's my simple analogy. Let's say, I'm going to keep this really simple. Let's say you're making a pot of vegetable soup. You're cooking, you have a recipe. You're going to cook vegetable soup. What are the ingredients and how much of each ingredient do you need? Not equal parts. That doesn't make any sense. right? So let's say that you have so many of whatever vegetables, all the different vegetables that you're going to put in there. You have your celery and your carrots and your peas and your potatoes and your et cetera, et cetera. You have your now you have your herbs fresh herbs from your garden that you're going to put in there. And you also, the recipe calls for, let's say, a tablespoon of, or 2 tablespoons even if you're salt lovers, Celtic salt. Oh, it's so potent, it's so delicious. Who doesn't love salt, right? And Celtic salt is really good for you. It has minerals in it, it's delicious. Your body benefits from it. Celtic salt is a positive thing. Now, Celtic salt in this example is masculine energy. What happens if you require, say, 1 to 2 tablespoons of Celtic salt in your recipe? And delicious. It makes it so tasty. And yet, what happens to your soup if you put 12 cups of Celtic salt? Literally, 12 cups of Celtic salt in the soup. How many people are going to be able to eat this soup? It tastes like fucking shit. Come on. Obviously, shit, right? Absolute shit. Disgusting. I don't care how much you might be a salt person and love salt. You're not eating 12 cups of salt in the goddamn vegetable soup. It completely ruins and destroys the entire fucking soup. So in this simple analogy, how much do you need of that particular ingredient? Now, the appropriate amount, if you're in the way of equality, the appropriate amount of that ingredient, of that salt, perfection, perfect, delicious, tasty. And yet, if you put 12 cups of that fucking ingredient, you destroyed everything in that soup. Well, guess what? We're living on a planet where there's 12 cups of motherfucking Celtic salt. It destroyed the whole fucking soup. The whole planet is destroyed. This much masculine energy is needed. 2 tablespoons is it for balance. Why? Because when there's too much salt, too much masculine energy, here comes the exclusion, here comes the domination, here comes the violence, here comes the control, here comes the fucking rape of animals and women and children and all of it. Here comes the serial killers, here come the murderers. Too much of that particular energy has created what we experience, all the fucking wars and bullshit. You only need so much salt, and there you have your perfect balance. Guys, you have to understand. It's going to hit so much deeper now for some of you. We are nothing but frequency. And when you are the frequency of masculine, you only need a little bit. Too much masculine energy creates an out of control, fucked up world. Oh, I don't need you to fucking believe me. Look around. Nothing but proof and evidence of it. Those are the 12 cups of salt in the soup. We need to understand that we are nothing but frequency. And oneness frequencies are made up of almost all of feminine energy. That is creator energy with other things sprinkled in. Perfection, like salt. Now, I'll tell you what, any soup without salt, bland, doesn't taste good. Not impressed. Love the salt. We want the salt, but the appropriate amount. Do you understand in this analogy? I'm going to give you another analogy because this is going to go back to the exclude. Aren't we excluding? Because some of you are still going to have a real hard time with what I'm teaching you. And it's going to be real hard for it to sink in and understand it. And that's okay. That is never a judgment. It's okay. I'm going to give you a couple other analogies here, though. Let's say there is a whale who, in the ocean, got caught in a fishing net and is drowning because they're trapped in a fishing net. Okay. And some boats or some fishermen or fisherwomen or people enjoying being out on the ocean and just boating or whatever they're doing, they come across, they somehow maybe other whales or dolphins, these miraculous, beautiful things that animals do all the time, where they're like, help, help. And they bring you and they take you to like the drowning whale, or the baby whale brings you to the drowning whale. So let's say it's a scenario like that. And whatever men and women are out and they're like, oh, they follow the baby whale and they find mama whale and she's drowning in the ocean because there's fishing net. What do you do with the fishing net? Cut it off the whale, let the whale breathe, come up for air. You save the whale's life. Now, does that mean you're not in oneness? You're a net phobic. You hate nets, fishing nets. Why are you so prejudiced against fishing nets? Why do you think you're superior to fishing nets? You're excluding fishing nets. Does that make any sense? The fishing net is causing harm, drowning the whale. Get the fucking fishing net out of there. It shouldn't be there. Now, a fishing net, don't come at me with we should all be vegan and nobody should have fishing nets. We're not going there. Stay with the analogy. It's for teaching purposes only. So don't be annoying. Fishing nets that are appropriate to use, and if used appropriately and not just discarded in the fucking ocean like waste and shit, they don't cause the harm like that. And again, I know fishing causes harm. We're not going there. Just stay with the damn. It's just a teaching analogy, guys. Okay? Don't get all crazy on me. The sea turtles trapped and drowning in nets. Are we now prejudiced against fishing nets? Okay. Let me give you another example, another analogy. Let's say that you're a sheep farmer. You have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sheep. Sheep farmer. Would you go pick up a couple of lions and set them free on your sheep farm? Obvious answer, isn't it? Obvious answer to this analogy would be no. That would be insane. The lions would get a free meal. Literally, the lions would eat all my sheep. I'd be out of business. I'd go bankrupt because I have no more sheep and I'm a sheep farmer. But if you're brainwashed by patriarchy and you function in the mind control, brainwashing ignorance that patriarchy teaches you, that low level of consciousness, then your interpretation, if you were staying with what patriarchy has taught you, isn't that excluding lions? You're lion phobic. You hate lions. Doesn't that mean that you just hate lions and you're trying to exclude lions? Do you see how psychotic and stupid that is? The level of ignorance? It's like, isn't it just obvious and practical? Why do you have your Cane Corsos and other various mastiffs on the farm protecting the sheep from coyotes and lions and whatever else might be around? They're there to fight off what will kill all of their sheep. Does that mean you're anti-fucking lion? So if a matriarch and feminine means oneness, does that mean you're anti-men? You can't be that fucking stupid anymore. It's time to grow up and elevate and be more educated and use your goddamn minds better than what patriarchy has dumbed you down to be, think, and believe. Do you realize the ridiculousness of it? When you think of women being in charge and women leading, that you immediately go to, you're excluding men. That level of stupidity is what keeps you so low. You're never going to elevate and end up on a new earth because you can't be there in that level of ignorance. And that's the truth. I'm challenging you to elevate higher, because people that live in oneness, women and men that live in oneness, have enough of the way of wisdom that they understand energetic frequencies. You don't add lions to a fucking sheep farm. That doesn't mean you hate lions. If I owned a sheep farm, you better believe I would have all the protection against lions coming into my fucking sheep farm. And guess what? I love lions. I love those beasts. I love them. I freaking love lions. Love them. You're not anti-lion because you don't let him into your goddamn sheep farm. Do you understand? You're not anti-masculine or anti-men because the masculine energy on this planet is so out of fucking control with patriarchy that it is nothing but fucking violence and danger and harm. No, we have to get rid of that, and we need to evolve people, women included, because women have toxic masculine energy as well. Now, women in their toxic masculine don't rape and murder and eat babies the same way that men do. They don't rape sheep and they don't rape goats or turkeys, for fuck's sake. There's a little bit of a difference between women being in their toxic masculine versus men. It's out of control on the planet. So when you address these things as the way of truth, it's about seeing the truth in all of it and elevating out of it, transmuting it, alchemizing the bullshit so that we can all live in equilibrium in the way of equality, which simply means energetically in balance at the quantum level. That's what that means. So you wouldn't add 12 cups of salt to your soup. You'd add 2 tablespoons. And that's balance. Any recipe, you could give that as such a simple example, and you can always go back to that. If you're going to bake a cake, the ingredients are very specific. And what happens is a glorious, delicious treat when you're done if you follow the goddamn recipe. But if you put way too much sugar or way too much salt or no baking soda at all, the whole cake is ruined and it tastes like shit, doesn't it? Think about that. The ingredients are not equal parts. They're the appropriate ingredients, the appropriate measures of the ingredients, and what you get is nothing but perfection. So understand, on this feminine planet, the appropriate ingredients is a very small amount of masculine energy because of what masculine energy is. And if you continue to take that and twist it in your own mind of somehow that means that is inferior, you're the one who has to elevate, because that's not what is being taught to you. And that's okay. You're just not at a level of consciousness where you can comprehend it yet. That's okay. But you need to be mature enough emotionally to realize, I'm not at a level enough yet where I can comprehend oneness. I'm still in separation because I'm still in the toxic masculine patriarchal brainwashing. That is the first way of oneness, the way of responsibility. And I take accountability for the level that I'm at right in this moment. The level that you're at is not bad or wrong. It just is. But you see it for what it is, and you make the choice, because we all have free will choice, to evolve to a level higher than that. So if you are a man, you're a biological man, you're in physical form as a man, the feminine and the masculine energies that everybody has both of, you have to understand what it means to be masculine has nothing to do with your physique. It is your frequency. It is your energetic frequency. To be in balance of you, masculine versus feminine, you got to get out of this bullshit, patriarchal, misogynistic, objectify women definition of what it means to be feminine. Feminine energy is oneness, it's power, it's wisdom, it's warrior. Do you think a woman who can grow a human inside of her own body and push that baby out with all the blood and all the pain and all the sweat, shitting on the table at the same time, is that effeminate? Is that putting high heels on and being a sexy object for you to jack off to? The definition that patriarchy has given to the word feminine is objectification of woman. Period fucking end. It's not about whether your nails are painted. It's not about whether your hair is done and how much makeup you fucking wear. It's not about how much you push your tits up so that you can get a chub when you look at them, or how big your fucking ass is. That has nothing to do with feminine energy. Those are socially created constructs that people choose to live by or not live by for whatever reasons. That is not what divine feminine energy is. Do you understand? It's not effeminate to push a human out and shit on yourself while you do it. What are you talking about? It is complete motherfucking warrior energy. And that is what feminine energy actually is. That's why they are the true leaders. They have the wisdom of the entire cosmos, and they are a portal to that wisdom because they have wombs. Understand what it means to be feminine. It means to be woman. That's what it means. And in balance, in the way of equality, you have enough in oneness. Let's go back to the soup analogy. If you function in equilibrium, in balance, and stability, you have enough of all of the ingredients to be in balance. You have enough of masculine energy. That means separation, divine separation, that I can live as me. I am not codependent with you. I am not needy. I am not powerless. I honor you in oneness simultaneously as a separate individual fractal of source goddess incarnated, because that is what you and everyone, each person, each being is on this planet. Both are true at the same time. Two truths can exist at once in oneness. Do you understand? So really, all this bullshit about what's masculine energy? Masculine means leader. Fucking bullshit lot made up. That's not what it means. The true raw definition of divine masculine energy is divine separation. And can't you now comprehend why way too much of that separation bullshit is going to do nothing but wreak havoc on this entire planet? The perfect amount to bring balance is perfection. Go back to the salt analogy in the soup, not 12 cups of salt, 2 tablespoons. Ah, delicious. Do you understand? We are a feminine planet. So certain ingredients you have a small amount of, because if you have more, they get way out of control, way too salty, and the whole fucking soup is ruined. Do you understand? Masculine, way out of control, way too much without the leaders that they need, which is the feminine. How is your leader not the one who's directly connected as a portal to the cosmos? That doesn't even make any sense. At anything less than that, less does not mean inferior. Different than that. When you're not that portal yourself, you're meant to be a different type of being existing in oneness with all of us. That's all. It is the ego, masculine ego, that got out of control, that misinterprets everything. And because he misinterprets everything, he's got to dominate and control everything. Why? Because the toxic masculine ego feels inferior, so inferior that he has to pretend to be superior and dominate everything and everyone that he feels inferior to. What do toxic masculine unconscious men do? They dominate and they play superior and entitled, right? Why do they do that? This is learning programs and energetics, people. They do it. Any human does it, but I'm generalizing right now. Patriarchal versus oneness. They do it because they feel so goddamn inferior. Do you understand? Way back, when the male ego started to really come online more and people started to devolve, men coveted and became jealous of the power that women had, and they saw themselves as inferior in order to make up for what they feel on the inside, their own inferiority, which isn't a truth by any means. That's how they perceive, because that's what ego fucking does. They perceive themselves as inferior, which means on the outside, how are they going to behave and act? They're going to hide their inferiority by playing superior. I'm going to pretend to be superior to you because that helps to mask my own inferiority that I carry within myself. And all that is a program to be healed. There is no such thing as anybody being inferior or superior to another being. Any being. You humans are not superior to dogs. or to dolphins, or to lizards, or to butterflies. And if you think you are still mind controlled and brainwashed and programmed by patriarchy, because that's what patriarchy teaches you. A matriarch is oneness. And in oneness, we leaders of the world, the true, authentic, enlightened ones, know there is no such thing. It doesn't exist unless you create it and experience it as a reality. And you've created that reality to experience it. Inequality doesn't actually exist. It's a temporary experience that unconscious people like to create so they can mask their own inferiority that they feel about themselves on the inside. When you don't function so lowly like that, at low levels of consciousness, and you actually become a being of oneness, there is no such thing as a bumblebee being inferior to you. And when one comes into your energetic fields and lands on your hand or your arm or flies around you, when you live in oneness, it'll bring you to tears. Because you realize the source creator of all that is just flying around you, gracing you with her presence. That is the way of humility. That is the way of truth. That is the way of harmony. That is what oneness is. And when you can function at that level, to have a moment where something as simple as a honeybee flies around you and maybe lands on you, tears will fall down your face in the way of honoring, in the way of humility, that you just had a miraculous moment like that you got to experience while you were incarnated as a human. So all this masculine, feminine, aren't we excluding? Only patriarch excludes. That doesn't exist here. And if you don't comprehend it, that's okay. There's no judgment, but you need to see the lack of education, how the level of ignorance that you're still in, and you need to make the choice to go take the courses and the classes to learn and elevate higher. The example that I give of being moved to tears just by a honeybee flying around you. Because I know some of you, I'm nudged to say this. What if the honeybee actually stings you? Well, what was it that the source creator of all that is wanted you to pay attention to and wanted you to know? What kind of energy are you giving off? What did you need to wake up to that the presence of a honeybee stinging you can help you on your own journey of awakening? In oneness, what is that message? What does that sting mean? Because when you function in oneness, there's no separation between me and you. Who and what do I need to evolve into? And was this a nudge for me to do so? No different than if somebody's a total fucking asshole to you on social media or anywhere in life. No, it isn't oneness by tolerating people abusing you. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. But if somebody shows up like that, what are you being called to become? What way of oneness do you need to become? And no, it isn't passive, pathetic, and powerless that you won't set boundaries and stand up for yourself. Most likely, how are you going to set a boundary here? Are you powerful enough to use your voice and speak up and set a boundary in the way of unconditional love? Do you love yourself enough? Are you the way of selfless service for yourself that you're willing to stand up and protect yourself? Stop looking at everything as fucking negative. And what I attract. Get out of the preschool level of bullshit manifestation crap. What way of oneness do I need to become would benefit everyone involved if I became that way of oneness in this moment? Is it because I need to learn to set better boundaries and speak up and use my voice in a different way? Do I need to connect to that level of power? Quite frankly, when you're evolved enough, you get over the fucking feminine masculine nonsense. All of it's nonsense. It just is. But until you get to the level where you can comprehend that, and that's okay. Guys, just because you're in preschool doesn't mean you'll never earn a doctorate. You understand that? It just means you have to go through all the grades to eventually get there. It's never an insult. If you take it that way, just move. You're not ready for elevated. You're not ready for a doctorate. You're still in preschool. That's all it means. Literally, that's all it means. That's okay. But go to your preschool class, and when you eventually rise up and you're ready to learn at a doctorate level, then you can come here. Do you understand? Eventually, you get to a place where you can embody oneness, and you get out of trying to figure everything out with your mind, because most people try to figure this stuff out. They're only functioning at the level of mind, which means you'll never fucking get it. Never. You'll never evolve. Yes, I evolve. No, nope. Energetically, nope. Nope. That's not how energy works. No, you won't. Because you can't. Because you're functioning at mind. That's what patriarchy taught you. Trapped in your mind. Understand everything at the mind level. I need to understand because my mind tells me this. Well, you're not evolving. You're staying at low levels of consciousness. It's not about what you understand and don't understand. Well, I don't understand that, Rachel. That doesn't make sense. I know, because you're trapped in your mind. Evolved beings that are becoming beings of oneness function at energetic frequencies. They drop into their heart. They anchor in to the energies that they, get ready, that they feel, not think about, not discuss, not talk about, not analyze. They feel. Because that's oneness. Because thinking coming from mind keeps you in superficial, surface level comprehension of anything and everything, and it keeps you in spiritual preschool. That's it. You'll never pass anything higher than preschool level when you're in your mind. Why do you think there's so much violence and war and fighting and domination? Because everybody's at a preschool level because we're trapped in patriarchy. Is it all starting to tie together? You want to elevate higher. The way of wisdom is oneness, which is feminine. And it goes back to feeling wisdom. Energetic frequencies come in, you translate the frequencies, and you know the truth of a scenario. You function at the quantum energetic level. You can only do that by becoming the ways of oneness, by becoming a being of oneness consciousness. It's an energetic transformation. It isn't anything you learn from your mind and memorize and regurgitate and talk about in social media and have your lives and your podcasts and your whatevers where all you're doing is regurgitating knowledge because you want to feel important and you want people to look at you like you know more than you do, and you want to gain the followers and you want to make money off of it. That's all patriarchy, guys. It's all surface level, superficial bullshit. And no matter how much knowledge you think you have, knowledge is not wisdom. The drastic difference between the frequency when you learn quantum energetics, which is a part of becoming a being of oneness, when you learn that, you feel the energetic frequency, the difference between the frequency of knowledge and the frequency of wisdom. Oh my God, they are so far apart. Drastically different energetically. Like knowledge is laughable. That is the analogy that I give all the time because everybody can understand. It's a simple analogy. That's the analogy that I give when I say like preschool versus kindergarten, first grade, elementary school versus junior high school, college. See how you elevate because you become more educated, more experience as you grow older. It's an easy analogy to understand, right? So knowledge is that, preschool, kindergarten level. Wisdom is like the doctorate level. They're not even remotely the same thing. Energetically, the frequency of them, not remotely the same thing. Knowledge, you're trapped in mind. You memorize, you regurgitate, you use big words, sound intelligent. It's preschool. It's nonsense. Wisdom, you function energetically. In wisdom, you don't always understand, but you always know. You feel truth and you follow the guidance of the frequencies. And you can't follow the guidance of elevated frequencies if you don't learn how to feel all the different layers of energies, of subtle energies. Oh, now we know why patriarchy says women are over emotional, men shouldn't feel. It's to dumb you down and keep you stupid and mind controlled and brainwashed, to keep you at the level of mind instead of the level of energetic quantum energetics, which is feeling energies. You open up to the wisdom of the cosmos when you learn how to feel and discern and work and navigate subtle energies versus thinking all the time. You don't access all those different energies when you're trapped in your mind. That's patriarchy. That's a system of enslavement, because that's what patriarchy is. How do they enslave you? Keep you trapped in mind and tell you that you're more practical and rational and you're this and you're that. They fucking brainwash you to believe the nonsense and the bullshit. No, you're not. Let me give you this truth before I say goodbye to you in this episode. And for some of you, this is going to trigger the fuck out of you. Deal with it, tough shit, heal yourselves. You want to know a truth? Go down the rabbit hole and find the research, because it exists. I've been watching it for a very long time. A tremendous amount of scientific research on brain. Woman versus man at the brain level. Guess who has the superior brain? Women. Black and white, period, end. Women's brains are superior to men's brains. That is a fact. It is a scientific fact. Go look it up. They are. Every area of the brain that gets activated and used in a woman's brain compared to a man's brain, a woman is more activated, has more activation in every part of the brain compared to men. Men have far less brain activity than women. Did you know that? Now, there are a lot of theories on that. I'm out of time on this episode. We now hit an hour for this particular episode, but I am going to let that sit with you because it's a scientific fact. This research has proven it. So when you hear the nonsense that patriarchy brainwashes you with to dumb everyone down, you understand the whole purpose of patriarchy is to keep everyone dumb. Everyone. And the dumber you get, the less brain activity you show, the less brain you use. And when you believe you're superior, and yet the proof is in the brain activity, something's got to wake you up at some point. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of reasons. Okay. And I can share some of those reasons at some point if you really want to hear them. The truth is, a big part of why that is because patriarchy has reigned for thousands of years and men can't evolve under patriarchy. Now, it's harder for women to evolve, but guess what? Women have wombs and they're the portal connected to cosmos. So they're never going to be as devolved as men. They can't be. Let that sink in. You want to follow the leaders to help guide you to the light, to the enlightenment that you can become. And you keep following your male gurus and the male coaches and the male teachers. Their brains don't even function anywhere near the way a woman brain functions. And you're still following the dumb down that keeps you dumbed down. Now, come on. You can't get more black and white than that. The brainwashing of patriarchy is to keep everybody as stupid as possible. Don't be mad at an individual. Be mad at the system of what patriarchy is, because that system, only the illusion that it benefits men. No, it fucking doesn't. It's dumbed you down so much that your brain function doesn't even compare to a woman's brain. And everybody wants to sit here and fight man versus woman bullshit instead of seeing the system for what it has done to you. And it is done by design, because the dumber you are and the less brain function you have, the more idiotic you are that you'll easily believe you're superior in every way possible. And then guess what you are to the patriarchy? Slaves. You're their war machines. They say jump, you say how high. They can easily brainwash you to make you think you're in charge when really you're nothing but a puppet. That is the patriarchal system at play, period, end. That's the raw truth of it. You want to get out of that system? You need to realize what the system is, because I don't care the level of inequality that is perceived out there between men and women, and all the really unconscious men trying to take women's rights away right now, and all the violence towards women right now. All of that's being created out there. It is. But here's the bottom line. I don't care if you're a woman or a man. Patriarchy destroys you. It destroys you. It is not for your benefit. Even if you're the most privileged fucking man, it destroys you. It isn't for your benefit. And I hope you can feel the sadness in that. And I hope you can see it for what it actually is. Because it is nothing but an egoic, extreme form of separation. And that makes everybody isolated and everybody lonely and everybody in harm's way. That's what that old system is. And I hope that you can actually feel the sadness in that. Because whether you're a woman or a man, it destroys everybody. It destroys all the animals on the planet. It destroys the earth herself. It is a system. Do you understand? Patriarchy is a system of fucking destruction. And if you can't get over this, well, men should lead bullshit, they have for centuries. Look where we're at, people. Get over yourselves and follow the real leaders who can lead you out of the misery, the suffering, the wars, and all the fucking bullshit. Because all of it is sad. The fact that we have so many rapists and so many serial killers and so many violent, horrible people doing horrible things to animals, not just women and children. Like, that is just the level of sadness that I feel sometimes. That's what people have been turned into because of the patriarchy, which is a system that is meant to destroy you and enslave you. Do you understand? It is a system. Get over yourself, the man versus woman thing. Grow the fuck up. Become the way of humility and follow the leaders that are going to lead us into this new golden age, the age of Aquarius, which is the age of feminine oneness. And you're not going to get that right now from a man. Does it make any sense that men would lead you into the age of feminine oneness? That's the patriarchy. Get over yourselves. Humble yourselves and follow the real leaders of oneness in this world. And right now, you're not going to find that in men. It's only going to come from women, and that is for a goddamn reason. And common sense tells you why. Because we, in oneness, women bring life to this planet. We are the creators of life. You are only alive because of women. And it is about time that you honored us for the beings, the cosmic, divine creator beings that we are. And it is time that you've humbled yourselves and learned from the women who are here to take you higher. We've given you the chance over centuries to take yourselves higher. Look at what you did with it. There's enough evidence everywhere. How many dogs have to be tortured and abused at the hands of men? How many animals are murdered? How many pieces of this planet are completely destroyed? Because patriarchy excludes, it separates, it destroys. That is a system. And that system can never be in balance until it humbles itself and follows the real leaders of the world that are the leaders of oneness. And right now, sacred feminine rising, oneness rising comes from the creator of all that is, which is represented in woman, in feminine. Like it or not, get the fuck over yourselves if that triggers you. Because you will never elevate out of suffering until you embrace the truth of what all this means. Never. Good luck trying. But you've had centuries to try. And again, look at where we're at. If you can't handle that, not my problem. Those are your egoic wounds, traumas, and your own ego and shadow self that you need to heal. There is no exclusion in oneness. It only feels like that when you are too wounded and low level of consciousness because you've been brainwashed by what patriarchy is. When you evolve into a being of oneness, there is nothing that you feel except love, support, wisdom, harmony. Even when your programs are mirrored back to you, even when you have the pain of your own wounding and programs mirrored back to you and you feel that, simultaneously you feel a level of humility and gratitude that you're finally elevating and evolving out of that crap. That is what feminine is. That is what oneness is. That is what the matriarch is. And like it or not, that is what the new earth is, because earth is a feminine planet. It is a planet of oneness. And whether you like it or not, we are evolving into that, the truth of what we were meant to be. We are here to support you on that path of true evolution. And if you don't want to go there with us, that is okay. You'll never be judged by me. You will never be judged by people in my organization either. You will have your asses end up on old earth and all your suffering and all your low level of patriarchal consciousness. And that is your choice. I don't judge you for being there. But the more that these planets split apart, especially in the years to come, it's going to be harder and harder to evolve into oneness and to end up what a new earth actually is and will become. You don't just end up there because you're fucking spiritual. Your pride can't get you there. And if you can't get over yourselves that you cannot evolve enough to realize who at this point in time in history the real leaders are to take you there, and you're too misogynistic and prideful to learn from the true leaders of the world right now, which are going to be extremely elevated women, then you're trapped in a patriarchal old earth, and that is okay, but that's where you're at. And the more these earths split apart and separate, old earth versus new, it's like just being on two different planets. When you end up on that old earth and that old patriarchal planet, and you can't understand 10 years from now, 15 years from now, well, I don't understand. We're supposed to be a new earth. Oh, the war's supposed to end. Where's all the violence? Oh, this is terrible. We're still suffering. Everybody's in poverty because you didn't make the jump because you couldn't get over your fucking male ego. You have every opportunity right now, and it is your choice, whether you're a woman or a man. Always a choice. And with that, make your choice. Evolve or don't evolve. But you're the one who has to live with yourself and the life that you create for yourself. So, how is that working for you so far? And if it's beautiful and magnificent, good job for you. And if it's not, then you have work to do, changes to make. And I hope for your sake, you make them, because I wish nothing but enlightenment for every being on this planet. That is all I came here to help do, to support and teach people how to get there. And I wish it for you. And I hope you choose it for yourself too. Thank you for listening. Always a pleasure. I'll see you in the next episode.